I built a bench for my gazebo. I posted it on the marketplace to see market interest. I ended up with 4 custom sized pre-orders. Here's how I made it and what I could have done faster. This bench takes 7 2x3s, which cost me $2.85 each. I make the feet with less than half of a 2x4. My total cost is under $25. I start by planing all my 2x3s down to 1¼ inch. I prefer this look and the clean edges. You can do it naturally too. I cut my legs at 23½ inches. They're made with 2 2x3s each. Cut 8 pieces total. To make the legs, glue 2 pieces together and clamp them. I will plane the edges down once dry. I made this bench for myself, but I put it on the marketplace. My goal was to offer custom sizes and colors. I specified in the description that this bench was not available. Within hours, I had someone wanting a 6'1" Paseo brown. I quoted them $100 and they agreed. I'm in discussion with 2 more people for more orders too. I can make 2 or 3 of those in a day. This one took me about 3 hours of work, excluding the paint drying. The bench will be 8 1¼ inch boards and ½ inch spacers. This makes for a total depth of 13.5 inches for the seat. Measure and cut 4 pieces of 2x3 at that length. 2 will be the bench sides, 2 will be the underside supports. Next, I measure and cut 21 ½ inch spacers. Only 7 will stay on the bench, but 14 more are needed as spacers. For the bench length parts, I went with 33.5 inches, for a total width of 36 inches for the bench. Measure and cut 8 of them. Once all cut, I found the centers. To apply some tape. This keeps those areas unpainted, for the glue to work well. I do the same here, for 2 of the 13.5 inch parts. This is where they will contact the longer 33.5 inch parts. Sand 7 of the spacers that you will paint, and all the edges of the bench parts. This is to avoid splinters and protect the edges. For this bench, I went with a semi-gloss white. This will go in my gazebo out of the rain. Before the paint dries, remove the tapes. This will give you fresh wood contacts for glue. Only paint 7 of the spacers. The 14 others won't stay on the bench. Now that the leg glue dried, and while the bench is dry, I prepare the leg assemblies. I set my planer to 2.5 inches and run them joint up. This will make the gap barely visible. As you can see, this makes a huge difference. Lower the blade by 1/16 and run them on the other side too. Use the 2 other 13.5 inches to assemble the legs. Add glue, clamps, and screw from above. Sand the transition from the top to the legs. It will look much better once finished. The feet, I used pieces of scrap 2x4. You can make those with 2x3s also, if you want. I trace a line where the legs end and where I plan to run an angle. Then I cut where needed for it. Make a second identical one, then set your blade to 45 degrees. Measure and cut the corners on both pieces. Add glue, countersink holes, and screw into place. Make sure everything is flat. As we did earlier, sand the edges to avoid splinters. This is ready for paint. The leg braces are left to cut. Cut a 2x3 at 45 degrees. Then go back to the legs. We will measure with the table the length needed. Trace a parallel 45-degree line, then cut it on the miter saw. Make a second identical brace. Paint the remaining parts. I'll do some final touches once the bench is assembled. Add glue to the two side 13.5-inch pieces, then assemble the bench by gluing the metal splinters from back to front. The spacers on the sides are unpainted and not glued. They are only there to hold the position during assembly. Use a square to make sure you keep square. It's easy to go off at a bad angle without noticing. Lightly hold it with clamps while you finalize assembly. Don't put too much pressure. It will make it not square. To hold everything together, use deep countersink holes and 2-inch screws. We make those deep because we will fill those with dowels. Fill the holes with dowels. Make sure you use a countersink bit the size of a dowel you have. This is 1/4 inches. Pop out all the unpainted splitters that haven't fallen during assembly. I use a screwdriver and a mallet. Place the legs using a 2x3 as a spacer. I use tape and sand off some paint to have a better glue joint. Add glue, the leg, then countersink 4 holes and screw with 2-inch screws. Countersink 2 holes and screw in the brace on the foot. We will do the same on both sides. To screw them to the seat, drill 2 holes, one towards each seat 2x3, front and back, screw with 2-inch screws. Add dowels to the bottom braces, then cut all the dowels flush. Sand them flush, then paint over them again. I gave most of the exterior another quick coat, and all the sanded places and missed areas. One thing I did, making this bench, that slowed me down is having no paint strategy. The next ones, I'll make all the pieces at first, knowing my needed sizes. Then I'll paint it all. That's how I built this bench. This one is for me and my gazebo. I'll now get to the 3 client orders. Make some weekend cash. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more or watch one of the videos linked above. See you next time.